What up, y'all? It's Cryptofur on Steemit.com, Christo Bear Kalaikai at Facebook, G_male_baby at Twitter, yeah. And I think, it's also Christo Bear Kalaikai at YouTube.com. I've been saying Christopher, but because I have multiple channels, so, but it's Christo Bear Kalaikai at YouTube.com. So anyway, just real quick, all right, so all of my forecasts for 2017 coming into 2018 have come to fruition, and I'm mixed emotion right now because I've made some good decisions. So my bank account's looking good, but I know it's going to be on the backs of some people who didn't position themselves in the proper place. And, it comes to mind this song. I'm looking at the stock market, and I'm thinking of this song that my dad used to listen to when I was a little kid, because he loved this artist called Perry Como. And he had this song called Catch a Falling Star and Put It in Your Pocket, Never Let It, or whatever, But I'm thinking of the markets, and catch a falling knife, put it in your heart, kid, because that's the way I see it. If you bought after the crash, the last crash, the 666 crash, thinking that the markets were going to go up, and they did the next trading day, you got bitten big time if you didn't get out before this next crash, because this next crash was another big whopper of a dropper. And this is the way I see things happening, okay? So they're going to do it to kind of give some bad press to Trump, because Trump, for whatever reason, I love Donald Trump, but to me it was stupid for him to go in and start touting that he's the reason why the economy is so great. There is no great economy, and I've been saying that in all my past videos ever since even the election time. I've been saying that no matter what Donald Trump does, the economy is going to crap out, because the Obama administration and the Bush administrations pumped so much fluid cash into the system to try to keep it afloat, because during the Bush administration, the economy crapped out when 9/11 happened. Well, I don't know if they used 9/11 as an excuse or as a storyline for why the markets were going to crash, but we had all this growth period, and you can't grow forever. So it was only a matter of time before the markets crashed. And so we had a lot of growth in the stock market and a lot of pumping of systems and bailouts, and they bailed out GE during the Obama administration. Effectively, they nationalized the company, because whenever the government buys something, it's government owned. So now the government owns GE. Well, at the time, GE Capital was an arm of General Electric, and General Electric typically you would think of as an electric company. They made like home appliances and things like that, but no, the reality of it was when they formed GE Capital, most of their revenue was coming from, or most of their operations were coming from GE Capital, which was basically a bank or credit, a lender. And so when that started to go upside down in 2008, the government had to step in and bail out all these businesses. They didn't have to. That's communism when the government does that. But in reality, in capitalism, you want that stuff to fail, because business wasn't done properly. And when the government comes in and nationalizes it, that's just a form of communism, where you have a state-owned enterprise now, and it's no longer a capitalistic business. So of course, when the government runs things, government doesn't do anything efficiently, ever. They don't understand what it takes to run a business. They don't know how to cut costs, because nothing ever costs government people anything. It really costs the taxpayers. And so basically they're getting money from the taxpayers to do all their ventures. And so it doesn't hurt their pocketbook, it hurts the taxpayers, but they don't feel it when it hurts the taxpayers' pocketbooks. They only feel it if it's their pocket, and they never will have anything in their pocket because they're government employees. So they never do things from their pockets. They use socialism, or they use the taxpayers to fund all of their ventures and all of their pursuits. So now I think we're going to have something like that happen, where in the past we had this AIG went under. We had Bear Stearns go under. We had long-term capital management go under. There were a number of financial businesses that went under in the 2008 crash. And I foresee that coming again. However, these markets are politically charged now because during the Obama administration, the deep state was forming because they were trying to get Hillary Clinton elected illegally. They knew there wasn't going to be enough support, and they were trying to do it democratically because they don't realize we're a republic. So they try to do things as a democracy, and the democracy is strength in numbers. You know, the masses are the asses. So if you can get the asses to vote all the same way, then you can accomplish your goal. But apparently it didn't work. Apparently the asses weren't so assy. They didn't buy into the garbage that the media kept spreading, that 90% of the people think that the polls are saying that Hillary Clinton's going to be president. And, you know, it kind of reminds me of the Al Gore saying 98% of the scientists agree that global warming's happening and now it's freaking cold. That's not why I'm wearing this. I'm wearing this because it says Las Vegas on it. And to me, markets are a gamble. If you don't know what you're doing, you're gambling. If you're going in, you're just freaking, I'm putting 100 on red, and because it said red before, and hopefully that's what happens. That's not how it works. You've got to do your studying when you go into the markets. And that's why I don't give financial advice, because even if I tell you how to do it, if you did everything the way I did it, but you didn't do it at the same time that I did it, it's not correct. Maybe you made more money doing it that way. I don't know. But the way I did it, you did it differently because of timing. You know, especially if you watched my video and then went and did it, I already had done it. So like when I positioned myself short in the markets, that was a long time ago. I already expected things to go, and I already had a strategy for what I saw coming. I saw that the economy was, I mean, a lot of businesses were going under, and they still are. Donald Trump's going out and trying to make trade deals and trying to deregulate the markets so that more businesses can form and newer businesses. But in the end, the ones that are still operating on that credit line during the Obama administration, they're going to go under because Obama was putting a lot of businesses out of business. So when the Democrats are talking about how, Trump was just riding on the coattails of the Obama thing, well, yes and no. When the markets were going up, they were going up out of enjoyment that Trump was there, that someone new with balls and a good leader and a businessman was there, so he'd benefit our economy. But at the same time, he was also riding on the coattails of the old Obama pump and dump, or pump economy, which is communist Keynesian economics run theory, where the central banks basically buy out everything. And this is what you're seeing. You're seeing central banks are acting like hedge funds. They're acting like investment firms, and they're buying up everything. So if they don't like Donald Trump, they can just sell everything at the same time. And that's why you get record drops. And you got 2 record drops consecutively. So the markets are weaponized at this point. They're political, which means if you're not on this side or you're on this side, we're caught in the middle. You got the left and right fighting each other. You've got the communist authoritarians fighting the semi-free market. These aren't really the free market guys. They're more capitalist, but I'm more on the capitalist side because I'm a capitalist. I like to make money, and I think everyone should have the freedom to make as much money as you want. You want the government to make money? Let the people make money because the people pay the taxes. So if you want higher government revenue, give people ultimate freedom to make money and just control the trust issues. Make sure nobody's doing fraud, because if they do fraud, then no transactions will go place because people be afraid to do it. So you got to make sure you have the government there to regulate in that regard. That's about the extent of it. Son's crying. He's sleepy. Just woke up, heard me talking, and he's got to go to bed. He was sleeping in his brother's room. But anyway, so all markets are a gamble. As I say, all markets are a scam for those who don't know what's going on. And now, you see how fast everything crashes. That's because we live in a robotic world. If you're just coming into the financial world and you're all nervous about things and you have emotions, you are going to get slaughtered in this market because you're dealing with robots. We live in a Terminator world. We live in the Skynet world where you're not trading against people anymore. Nobody has money. It's actually the machines who are being financed by all the big money that are trading the markets. So as you can see, they're not doing it based on emotions. Everyone's scared. Why is the stock market still going up? It's scary, 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 it's scary. They all sold out over here. But the machines kept buying. You just change the program and then it all crashes. And that's what I said from the beginning. I've been saying it in all my other videos. Markets take the stairs up, and the elevator down. Now you see why. And because I know that, and I know who my enemy is, and I know who my friends are, who are basically bankrupt, nobody's there. Nobody can afford to be in these markets. I make my trading strategy based on that. If I'm afraid of what a market's going to do, I'm not going to think clearly. So I got to think clearly before the fear sets in. Got to have a strategy, have scenarios run. I know who the players in the game are. Most of them are robots. And I know robots just go off programming. So they'll do things that are crazy. They'll buy more than a human will buy, even if there's fear. And they'll sell more than a human will sell, even if there's optimism. So we live in a whole different world where now you got to have a disciplined strategy. And first of all, you need to be able to know, is my asset worth investing in? So am I investing in, let's say, rotary telephones? I mean, some of you guys won't even know what a rotary telephone is. We had those around when I was a little kid. A rotary telephone is the one with the dial on it. You put your finger in the hole. It has like different holes for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. So it's not like touch phone, the touch tone phones we have today. It was a dial rotary phone where you put your finger in and you dial it. It gets to the end and you let go and it goes zzz, and it rolls back. Then you put your finger in the next number. Zzz. That's how we used to dial. I have one here that I collect. Maybe I'll put it in another video, unless you guys give me a couple seconds. I'll show you what a rotary phone looks like. I forgot. I have it plugged into the wall, and it's not like our today's phone where you can unplug. It's not hot swappable. It was hot soldered into the wall. So I've just had it there for years. Bought the house, didn't care about what was in it, but I love that phone, so I kept it there. And I haven't remodeled that room. But thing is awesome. You have to watch some old movies to see it. Sorry I took that time, wasted your time on that. But anyway, if you're investing in those kinds of things, and we're not using them anymore, that's called a sunset industry. So if you're investing in rotary phones, if there were even a company today that did that, we'll just go back a few years when there were still rotary phones, and you thought that they were going to be a great thing, you invest in that company, and that's a sunset career where no one's using those anymore. We have touchstone now. So those were going downhill. That's called catching a falling knife. You keep dollar cost averaging as the market's going down. You keep buying lower and lower and lower so that you can lower the cost of your investment. You're really increasing the cost of your investment because it never went up for you to make a profit off of your dollar cost averaging. So that's what I kind of see with these stock markets. I would not go long on the stock market for a long time, maybe another couple years. I still expect more crashes. I expect more volatility. Here you have all this regulation in the markets, and the reality of it is they're not any safer than they were before because now government has allowed companies to do software and computers that trade. And when software and computers are involved, you get the volatility all again. You see it like this. And you have derivatives where they can artificially suppress volatility enough for the computers to keep, because the computers are looking at the same things we are. If they look at the volatilities down there, like, I can keep buying. I can keep buying. I can keep buying. That's when you get these record stock market prices, stock market valuations, even though they're overvalued and the companies can't justify their stock price appreciating like that. And so big crashes. May it crash more. May it crash more so I can add more shorts. And fortunately, I didn't lock in the profits on those last on the last crash because I was able to do it on this, and I made a lot more off of it. So, and I'm looking for tomorrow. Typically, tomorrow the value investors are going to come in. I don't know if they're going to see value in the markets, but there are going to be some who think they see value, and they're going to come in and they're going to buy it up. So we may see a little rally tomorrow, unless the contagion is just so great and the fear is so great that the stock market continues to drop. In which case, I left a few short positions open, but most of it I took profits on. If I left a few, I'm still going to profit nicely off of them anyway, because if the drop gets to be psychotic, I mean, the valuations of those short positions will be great. So that's something I didn't talk about before. I said I was going to mention it about hedging strategies. Okay, so what is hedging? I talked about dollar cost averaging. Typically, what dollar cost averaging is you buy into a market. Let's say you pay $100 a share for, I don't know, ABC company. That's not a good thing because there's probably an ABC company there that you're invested in. Let me just say Apple. Hypothetically, Apple is $100 a share. I know it's not. I know it's like way higher because governments are investing in it. But let's say it's $100 a share, and it drops. Your expense is still here at $100 a share, right? It drops at $100 a share. It drops down to, say, $50 a share. You buy again. So now you own $100 a share, and you own $50 a share, the same amount. Your cost is now averaged between the two. So ultimately, for all the positions you own, you paid $75 a share because originally you were $100, and then you bought in $50, and then if you average it out, $75 was your cost. That is a form of hedging because let's say you bought at $100 and you bought at $50. This is your price now. You expect the market to rally from $50 up beyond what you bought in if you still believe in that industry and you think there's a lot going for it. You've lowered your cost and now you can profit because as it rallies from there, you can participate in all this price movement that has happened as opposed to if you just bought 100 shares, let it drop, then you had to wait for it to come all the way back up. And then beyond your point, now you're participating in the rally if it even goes beyond your $100 entry price. So in a way, dollar cost averaging as an industry is dropping is a form of hedging because you're lowering your costs in the market and your risks, hypothetically. But again, let's say you go into that sunset industry. You go into that sunset industry, you keep adding money, you're just adding more into a black hole. So you have to really look at a market and figure out, is it something that I want to invest in? Look at me, like Bitcoin. I got in at 12,000 after the almost 50% drop, right? And it dropped further down to 10,000. No problem. I bought more because I actually believe in Bitcoin. I believe Bitcoin is going to go freaking sky high when people start using it. And if our dollar starts to plummet more, people are going to look for alternatives. Or if the stock market keeps crashing, they're going to look for alternatives to put their money because this is all unpredictable. And if it's going to be unpredictable, I might as well put it in something that has some promise, that's something new that people have been talking about. It's got big buzz. And if I learn more about the technology, I'm going to do that. So I see that more people are going to do that. They're going to get tired of the traditional stock stuff that they're going to find out it's not safe. It's not safer than Bitcoin. So all this whole thing about crashing the markets to make Donald Trump look bad, these banks are really fooling themselves because they've caused all this stuff by crashing markets. And they have now made the markets look stupid, so nobody wants to invest in them anymore. So if they're going to go into that kind of volatility, might as well go into Bitcoin, right? Might as well go into an altcoin. Might as well go into Ethereum, Litecoin Cash, Bitcoin Cash. Litecoin Cash hasn't come out yet, but it will be after the fork. So these are the things that are setting up for the next crypto rally. And if the stock market drops, if cryptos drop along with it, because of course you get capitulation, meaning like people buy on credit, and when they're losing money, let's say they have an asset here that has value, the sell-off from this market will bleed into this market because they need to sell this in order to cover the costs or the losses that are occurring over in this market. So you get overall capitulation in markets, and that's what Bitcoin and all the cryptos started it out first. They crashed first. And then because people were buying on credit and the stock market was rallying, I have a feeling that's what also started some of the selling off in the stock market too, in addition to the algorithms selling off and the deep state wanting to piss off Trump because he's trying to arrest all of them in the FBI, DOJ, CIA, NSA, FBI, or whatever alphabet you want to come up with, organization that is in law enforcement, and he has corrupt people doing things that are treasonous to this country, and they should actually be shot publicly because they are creating a national disaster by doing so. And it's treasonous to be going against the interests of the American people with foreign countries getting to pay dossiers. And see, the leftists don't understand what's going on. They're hearing their mainstream media people talk about it, and they keep supporting these Democrats who are breaking the laws in order to get elected. And they're bringing in illegal immigrants because no American would vote for that person. So they have to bring in an illegal immigrant who doesn't know anything about this country, doesn't care because they're exploiting this country for its wealth, and who will vote Democrat easy. So the Democrats need votes. They're losers, and they need to. Anyone who's a Democrat who supports Democrats, your party is not the same party of John F. Kennedy. It's a loser party, and if you're still in it, you're a loser too. You need to start refiguring where you're staying and get the heck out of that and get your mind right. So anyway, dollar cost averaging is a hedging strategy. Another form of hedging is in the futures markets. I used to be a commodities specialist. So futures markets were created for, like, let's say a farmer. A farmer produces so much wheat, right? And he's not sure about the price. His cost is a fixed cost. He knows how much it costs for him to produce the wheat, but the price of the wheat may not stay high forever. It may drop, and his cost is still high, and then his profit has been erased. Farmer's out of business because farmer cannot react fast enough to change his production plan or to reverse it or whatever to compensate for that cost. So as a result, they had the futures markets where you can trade contracts on bushels of wheat or the same amount of wheat that maybe the farmer produced. And so he'll trade a contract betting that the price is going to go lower so that he can protect his production. So that if the price does drop, all he has to do is sell that contract, pocket the money of the profit of that loss of price, and sell his wheat, and he's basically even. His cost and his profit match, so that he doesn't lose any money. He can stay in business. He can still feed his family, or she if she's a farmer. So the original reason for the derivatives markets was to hedge the losses of the physical commodity or cash commodities markets. Same with oil companies. They produce oil, price crashes, yikes, really bad. So the derivatives markets were used to offset the cost versus the loss that they could probably realize if they just stayed in the cash market. So hedging is using shorting techniques, waiting for markets to drop to make money so that you can offset your costs here. So you can also do that. They have futures for S&P market. Let's say you invest in the S&P stock index, and you put this money in here. You think that there's going to be a stock market crash after you invest, and you're like, ooh, but I don't want to, I want to hold it. So, if it crashes, I want to be able to position myself lower without having to sell the stock and buy it in again, because there are commissions involved. If a broker has to sell it for me and buy down here, they're going to charge me a commission. So no matter what, I'm going to lose money. I'd rather just stay in my position now. I got in and it was a mistake. So I'm going to get, let's say, an S&P futures contract to match the amount that I've invested. And as it drops, I'll realize the profit from shorting the markets by shorting the minis contracts and offset my position, pocket the money, and now I can stay in my position. But it'll be as if I had repositioned without any costs. Okay, so this is the hedging techniques. I'm not going to get into it. It's not financial advice. I'm not telling you to do it. In fact, hedging is very dangerous because it's leveraged. So it means that if you don't match it properly, you can lose your shirt, your house, your car, whatever, everything. You can lose everything and end up owing way more than you initially invested because they're so levered. I use them to hedge what I believe are dangerous times. So I believe we're going to go into an inflationary time, but I also see that there are businesses going out of business. So of course I short the stock market because I know eventually the businesses are going to go bankrupt. They're going to lay off people. Economy's not going to be good. And when all those businesses go out of business because they were supposed to in 2008, but the government came in and bailed everybody out, Once they're out of business and we are running on a real capitalist free market situation, environment, then whatever businesses are left over or whatever new businesses start, that's your new economy, and it can rebuild healthy instead of all this credit in it. Credit is horrible. It inflates everything, and credit is a source of inflation. So also the dollar and the yuan situation, the petrodollar and the petro yuan, I think is going to result in massive inflation as well. And they're using derivatives to suppress the inflation. So they can only do that so long. If you ever held a ball underwater, a very inflated ball underwater, and you let go of it, it flies up. Now, you can hold it down for a while, but how strong are you? Eventually, you're going to get tired of holding it, or there's going to be some factor that's going to let that ball out of your grip, and it's going to come shooting up. To me, that's what inflation is going to be doing. They're holding it underwater. They've been successful since 2008 and before because they've been pumping money in the systems by lowering interest rates, making money available to everybody, and then printing money in order to finance all the things they're doing. So far, they've been successful in holding down interest rates, but I think we are going to have the mother of all hyperinflationary depressions. And a hyperinflationary depression is what brought about Hitler in Europe, because you had depressions going on where the economies were collapsing, and you had governments printing money like the Weimar Republic printing money, and you got hyperinflation and depression at the same time. Worst of all situations, because in a depression, at least, if you have money, your money is more valuable, right? You can use it to buy food, but you'd want to use it wisely because you don't have a job, so you can't earn more of it. So you have to kind of spend frugally. In a hyperinflation, though, your money becomes worthless. And in a hyperinflation alone, at least the economy is really grinding on super high speed. So you can always go to work, earn a lot more, and then have to spend it quickly because by the time you get your paycheck, it's worthless. So you have to go out and spend. So in hyperinflation, that's the opposite of a depression. Depression, your money's becoming more valuable, but you don't have a job. In hyperinflation, your money's becoming less valuable, but you have economy booming. Like everyone's spending. The velocity of money is going crazy. In a hyperinflationary, depressionary economy, it's the worst of both worlds. No job, no income. Your money's becoming devalued. And if you have money, you're able to make a crap load because they're going to have to raise interest rates to slow down some of that hyperinflation because people in the depression state with no money are starving to death and they're going to riot. So they're going to raise interest rates to the moon just like in the 70s, 60s and 70s to kind of quell some of that inflation. And if you got money and you're investing it, you're going to be sitting pretty because those high interest rates are going to yield you some great return, and the commodities to me are going to boom. So these are the places I position myself. I know this is a long and kind of slow video. If you're following me, great. If you're not, don't know what to tell you. And if you've lost everything, I'm sorry that that's happened to you. I wish you would have followed me sooner. I wish you would be able to grasp kind of the things I'm saying. I'm trying to keep it simple, but these are kind of a little bit complex topics. It's easy to when you hear it, but you have to kind of think about what's going on in the economy. And there are just so many factors now that I really have pity on people. It's going to be tough. You're going to see very wealthy people wiped out. You're going to see very poor people starve to death. That's just what I see coming. That's why I try to teach people prepare, but not just prepping. Not just buying a bug-out bag with all your flashlight and your gun and your fire starter and rope and Band-Aids and all this stuff. No, I'm not just talking about that. That's important too, but you also, and stockpiling food and water and all that. No. You also have to prepare financially so that you can see what's coming on in the next economy and start making money while you're still protecting yourself in this jungle that's going to form from it. Because when the jungle forms, when everybody's starving, you're going to have crime go through the roof. You're going to have murder go through the roof. And you're going to have no police, no firefighters, or anything like that because the government's going to be bankrupt. They can't afford to pay for the first responders. First, nobody's going to do it for free because people are greedy. That's why I think eventually we're going to get on that universal basic wage system everywhere. It's just going to happen because everybody was greedy and they bankrupted themselves, and now you're not going to get a job anymore. It's just going to be a universal basic income, enough to get you food and pay a little cheap rent. So you have the basic necessities and maybe be able to buy some clothes so that you're not naked. And then that's it. You don't get super rich, but you also don't get super poor, and you don't have a job. Everything is voluntary from that point on. And that kind of system, I don't know, it could work. I mean, here I look at I love Star Wars and Star Trek. They always have super poor people in those shows. Even though the technology's great, they're always poor people. And even Jesus said in the Bible, the poor will always be with you. So I think those are the days that are coming. We may have better technology, we may have great stuff coming, but you're going to have super poor people, always starving. And then you're going to have it's going to be a tiered society with this big gap of nobody here. It's just the poor and the rich. The rich will have their stuff, and the poor will have nothing. So, unfortunately, I don't know what to say about that. That's why I'm going into cryptocurrencies, because I believe cryptocurrencies are a way to hedge against some of this craziness. But I don't know the future. I can't tell you the future, and I'm not going to give you advice on that. That's up to you to decide. I believe in the cryptocurrencies, and so I buy them on the way down. And I'm seeing now a lot of governments that threatened to outlaw and ban them are actually supporting them. So it's coming. It's coming. Maybe it is the mark of the beast, but it's coming. And I actually believe it is the mark of the beast. But mark of the beast is if you allow the government and the centralized authorities to take control, then you're all screwed. Don't let them do it. Educate yourselves and keep our markets free. Keep yourselves wealthy. Keep yourselves with enough money to influence politics. If you have no money, you can't influence politics. And all the Democrats are making a cash. They're making a killing off of this stupid global warming stuff and all the illegal stuff that they're doing. So they can influence our politics. And mark of the beast. And that's a shame, because the good people never knew how to manage their money. They never knew how to follow. Look at what the criminals are doing and learn from it so that you can also make money without being a criminal. So I don't know what the world's going to turn out like. It's interesting times. I have 2 kids right now, maybe 3 in the future. And, I'm worried for them. I'm going to try to teach them what I can, but I know kids, you try to teach them, they aren't going to listen. The only way is if they come back and have the patience to watch this video. It's 30 minutes. I don't know if you got any jewels out of it, but if they have the patience to watch it, they'll learn something. And if you're a kid and you're not learning stuff, you better start learning, man. The millennial generation is now larger than the baby boomer generation. And so now you guys control economies. And the way the economy goes is the way you go. So if you're not educated and you just waste all your money and you're all broke and poor, the economy is going to stay that way. It's going to reflect the way you guys do things. So if you don't educate yourselves now, while the baby boomers are still around, learn from them. You may hate them, you may hate their guts, you may blame them for why you are having such a hard life, which, I agree with you. I think the baby boomers really screwed up our economies because they supported this credit growth and they got rich off of it, and they had no idea. They thought they were accomplishing great things, but the reality of it is they were winning off of gambling. And they will hold it against the younger generations who aren't as wealthy as them by saying, hey, look at what I did, what are you doing? That kind of mafia crap. But to me, they're to blame for why all these imbalances in our economies are going on, because they never did anything to stop the governments from doing these things. They allowed them to do it so that the governments became so expert at manipulating markets and economies and conning people that the system of the beast is formed because of them. So that's what I'm saying. If you can really educate yourself and free yourself from it, we have a good future, all of us. Okay? Because no matter what I do, even if I become a multi-billion, zillion, quadrillion, gajillionaire, I'm not going to have a good life if nobody else does. Because you will all be trying to kill me, rob me, kill my kids, things like that, if you're not doing well. So my interest is to try to help everybody do well. But again, I'm not giving financial advice. I'm trying to give you a path to decide for yourself what's the right way to go. Now, just be prepared. Markets are going to continue this. This is the way of the normal now until we get a final crash and everything starts on a fresh new system. This is just a symbol of why the dollar, I believe the dollar is dying. You're seeing violent fluctuation. It's seizing. It's having a seizure right now. Our economy, our dollar is having a seizure. It's dying. It's biting its tongue. And most people are not recognizing. They're like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What do I do? And they're scared. Be like a medical professional going, that individual is sick. They're about to die. Go from there. Maybe that analogy is not good, but because usually you don't have new life off of the death, but in markets you do. Eventually something new is going to start. So God be with you guys. Hit like, subscribe, smash that notification button on YouTube, that bell there. And if you're on Steam It, upvote, re-Steam, drop me a comment. And continue to support me on these platforms. I love you guys. Steam It especially, man. You guys have really been supporting me. And Twitter, I just kind of like forward what I'm doing from these other platforms. So if you're on Twitter and you're liking my stuff, big ups to you guys. I love you guys. So continue to support me, and I wish you guys luck. God be with you.